out, see your physical body laying or sitting there, knowing that you are both connected and separate from your physical body. Your physical body is but a vessel for your conscious knowing self to utilize in this lifetime. Now feel yourself moving into your Merkaba light vehicle, or your Merkaba light vehicle, your light body. For those of you that may not be aware of exactly how it looks, there is no exactly how it looks. It just is simply there. Although you might visualize it as a three-dimensional six-pointed star, or a dual tetrahedron, where if you take two pyramids being base to base with each other, and then merging those two pyramids together, that will form a six-pointed star, a three-dimensional six-pointed star. And into that Merkaba now, let yourself move into it, become a part of it. Know that it is real, know that it is you. It is your light body, your vehicle of travel in the dimensions that are outside of your third dimension. And let yourself now move into that. Feel it all around you as it surrounds you. And begin now to merge with it. Let yourself merge with it. Not just feel like you are in it, but become it. Become your light body. Become your Merkaba. And begin to rise up now. Up and out past the roof of your building, into the sky, up through the clouds, higher and higher, until you pass the Earth's atmosphere. And along the way, you may begin to notice various ships of all different sizes, colors, shapes that are out here, that are now uncloaked to you. They would still be cloaked to those with three-dimensional eyes, but you have moved beyond that now in this astral and etheric realm. And they are no longer invisible to you. So let yourself rise higher and higher past all of the ships, and notice as you move up past the Earth's atmosphere and turn around, so to speak, and look down and see the Earth. But notice the millions of ships that are out here. Not just a few, but millions of ships everywhere surrounding the planet. Again, in all different sizes, colors, shapes, some of brilliant light, others of various colors. You can even feel a sense of connectedness with those ships as their consciousness, the consciousness of the ships itself calls to you. And one in particular might be calling to you specially because it is connected to you at a personal level, at a higher dimensional frequency level. And if it calls to you, go to it. If not, do not be concerned. But now, as you connect with these various ships, and with my ship in particular, with the New Jerusalem, feel the connection to us, as we are all one together. have always been, always will be one. One and the same. One in the God source within all of us. Feel that connection now. And begin to see through our eyes, and even through what might be difficult to think, but the eyes of the ships themselves, down to the earth, and see all of the lights that we see, all of the flickering flames, the flames of consciousness that are growing and expanding on the planet. And where before there might have just been a flicker here or there, now there are full-fledged flames that have arisen, because consciousness is awakening across the planet. See it through our eyes as we look down now, and as you look through our eyes, and see the awakening of the planet, the great awakening that is happening now, all across the globe, not only in 1 or 2 or 3 countries, but across the entire planet. The awakening is happening. See lights coming on everywhere. And the oneness of higher consciousness expanding across the planet. As more and more and more people are in the process of awakening, are in the process of their own ascension, even if they might not know what ascension is yet, many are awakening into the ascension process. See that happening now. See the fulfillment of the great plan, the great universal plan for this planet, for this solar system, and for this galaxy. The plan to reunite all of the people of the planet, to reunite all of the people of the planet with those outside of the planet, with those of us that you call the Galactics, all of us reuniting together, and to all of those that are below the planet, in the inner earth, reconnecting there as well, all coming together as one. And as you see this connectiveness happen across the planet, see how light is compressing down to the planet, and light is compressing up from inner earth toward the surface, all coming together at the surface. And the waves of energy and light that have been coming in increasing and increasing waves. See how this is all bringing this compression at the surface of the planet, where all that is yet still of darkness is being compressed into light. And the great compression breakthrough is coming about. Feel it happening now. Visualize it happening now, where all of darkness is illuminated now by the light, and where there can be no more darkness. Not even in the furthest corners of the planet will there be a speck of darkness left, where light will overcome all of the planet, all of the life forms on the planet, and darkness can be no more. And when that happens, and is in the process of happening. See how everything changes, how the old paradigm of darkness is washed away and illuminated by the light. And all that was of darkness is no longer. All of the structures of that darkness are gone. Whether they are physical structures, mental structures, emotional structures, all are and will be gone forever from this planet. See how everyone now comes together. Not only humans, but humans and animals, and the plants and flowers and trees, the earth herself, earth, Gaia, and man, and animal, all come together as one, as all of nature comes together as one. Even those of the Devic evolution, the sprites, the elves, the gnomes, all come together now as one being here on the planet, one God source here on the planet, below the planet, and above the planet. All are one. Now let yourselves begin to move back. If you left your Merkaba light vehicle, your light body, merge back in with it. Let it be your vessel of travel back down to your physical body. And come back into your physical body. Merge your Merkaba back in. And know that it is a shield, a protective shield to shield out any negative energy that might accost you. Cannot penetrate this shield if you believe in its power, if you believe in your own power within you, knowing that you are the God source within you. Nothing can penetrate this barrier. Just as the virus itself has not penetrated this barrier that you have created, that we have guided you to create over the various years that we have been working with you. Not a one of you has had anything of this nature penetrate this barrier. Not at this time, nor in the future. Let yourselves come back now into a complete state of consciousness and circulation, fully revitalized and refreshed. And I am Ashtar, and I come at this time to continue to bring you news, yes, but more and more experience, more and more love that we generate and bring to you, our brothers and sisters. For as we have said many times, we are all in this together. And as your saying is traveling now more and more across the world, where we go one, we go all. And that is not an Earth saying. That is a galactic saying that comes to you from far outside of your planet. And we have brought this to you. For we all go together through this. Yes, you are the boots on the ground. You are the ones that have to deal with the emotional strains, the stress that comes about as this great division is occurring, which of course is leading into the great awakening that is in process right now in these moments. And all is according to plan, to the great plan that the universe, the prime creator, has established here, and that you are all a part of. And you are becoming a greater and greater part of this plan as you continue to believe in yourselves, as you continue to take the guidance that we give you, to take that guidance deep within you and begin to express it outside of yourself, as you begin more and more to leave the sense of just being the light worker to being the light warrior, the ones that are going forward and spreading the light wherever you can, wherever it is called for. That is your mission at this time as a group, to spread the light wherever and whenever and however you are able to. It is no longer that you are to sit back and watch the world evolve around you, but rather you are now to move out and have yourself evolve around the world. There is a major difference with that. To spread the light, not simply to hold and anchor the light, to share it, to be it, to be the example, the ideal that others can look up to and look toward, to know and understand the way. Just as Yeshua, when he walked the earth, he spread the light wherever and whenever and however he could. He did not shy away from his mission. He was not simply a light worker that anchored the light, but he shared it. He became it wherever he could. And he taught whenever and wherever he could. He taught the mission that he was there for. Just as you are here to teach the mission that you are here for, both individually and as a group. And it is a grand mission that you are all a part of. For you see, yes, you are the boots on the ground, but you are all part of the alliance as well. All of you. Each one of you has a part to play within the alliance, within the resistance. And it is important now for you more and more to put up that resistance, to not capitulate, to not go along just because others have told you to do so. It is up to you to be that ideal, to show that you will not capitulate, that you will not go gently into the night, that you will spread the light. That is your mission. Do not give in. Say always within yourself, enough is enough. And I will not give in. I will not go along just because someone, somewhere, is saying, wear the masks. Watch your distance from another. Do not go along with that. Show others your light as you take those masks off. as you, instead of finding yourself separate from others, find yourself together with others, clasping hands, hugging each other. Did you not notice when you all came together at your last advance, and all of the togetherness that you had and showed? Not a one of you left with the virus. Not a one of you were ones who would take it in. Not one of you contracted it. Because you are not meant to. You are meant to show the way, to be the example. Again, to be that ideal. So do that now, each and every moment of your lives, as you practice being in a neutral state within all the craziness that is around you. Be that shining light, that shining example for others to follow, that beacon that reaches out to others, that they can now come out of their dark spaces and reach out to the light that you are sharing with them. Be that beacon, be that light, for you never know who or when that light will shine upon another and help to awaken at that moment. I am Ashtar, and I leave you now in peace and love and oneness, and that you will continue to reach out and share with each other and with all of your brothers and sisters, and know that we are so close now to coming to you, to being there with you in a physical manner, not so much at your third dimensional level, but at the higher fourth dimension. As you rise up, we will come down to meet you and be there in a physical expression with you. And that is much closer than many of you can possibly imagine at this moment. And those various announcements that have been spoken of by Saint Germain and others are also very, very close now. Much closer again than you can imagine at this point. Imminent would be your word to use now. Peace and love be with all of you. I am Ashtar. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om. Greetings to you. One who serves here, Shoshana, is here, and we are ready to continue on with your various questions, and we hope we would have answers for you. But understand that the question that you ask is the determiner of what kind of an answer you will receive. So the more specific that your questions are, the more specific that the answers can be as well. If you speak in terms of more of a vague oblong blur in your question, then that is more what you will receive back as an answer. And that is how this works. So we would entertain your questions now if you have any. You can unmute your phones now, if you will. And if you have questions, we can answer. If not, then we will release channel here.
Yes, dear one. This is Lorelei.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, dear. Okay, dear one, and Shoshana, dear Shoshana. Okay, so I have been thinking about this whole concept of reincarnation versus our aspects. So as I may have said, or you may know, I've sort of written down all the various, what I thought were reincarnations of myself as I remembered them. I think now, though, that, I'd like to get your thoughts on this and also you expand on it. I think that I was recalling aspects of myself. So, for instance, when I had a life, it's not me coming back. It actually wasn't me. It was somebody else who was an aspect of self that then had a say or a word on what would come next, which was an aspect of self, and then another had a thought of what would come next, and that was an aspect, and so on until it finally comes to me. I think that there really is no reincarnation as we see it, but it's all about the higher self putting down aspects, and we're involved. The ones are involved in that as we come down the line. Can you say more about that? Is that true?
Yes, we can, and somewhat more accurate, but in some respects not so much, because you are forgetting one thing. You are forgetting your soul record. And your soul record is, yes, it is filled with aspects of yourself from your various higher selves, as they have put down portions of themselves to create other personalities, such as you have been in past lives. But you have a soul record, you yourself, not the personality that is the one that is asking this question directly, but portions of that personality which comes from your higher self, you see. So you have been in existence for a very, very long time as these various aspects of your higher selves. If you go all the way up to the highest of the higher selves, which would be considered the monad of yourself, then you have come to the point where your beginnings occurred. And from that point on is the continuing soul record of all of the portions, we will say, that have been put down by that monad into a next higher self, or lower self in that case, but it is the higher self to the one that it is being put down again and again and again into lower and lower vibrations, so that the being that is you could experience all of creation and be a part of all of creation. And as you are a part of all of creation and having all of these experiences, so too is Prime Creator having all of these experiences through you, you see? Shoshana,
Yes.
do you have something, a different perspective possibly here? Or to add to this?
We can share. We must ask a question of the one who has asked this question, if we may. May we ask a question?
Yes, please.
Dear sister, how do you define aspect?
I don't know. That's why I was trying to figure that out. Like, well, how is an aspect different from reincarnation? That's something that or maybe it's the same thing. I don't know.
The idea of reincarnation, as you are attempting to define it, is far more complex than simply deciding whether you were someone or you weren't someone, or you did have this life or you did not have this life, or you are an aspect or you are another person that you have the name for. It is a far more complicated process. The idea of reincarnation is simply incarnating and taking on another body. This could be a body on Venus. This could be a body on Earth. It does not matter. The idea of taking on another body is just so that the soul can further its experience of itself. And so the soul can experience other parts of itself in a more clear and delineated manner, so that it may return to itself and have those experiences within itself. So what we must say about this is that when a soul decides combination of ideas, a combination of desires to experience certain things, to fulfill its record, and it is producing a body to do that, you see. So it almost does not matter who you were. What matters more is what you have accomplished in that life. Namaste.
Very good and wonderful added perspective here.
Thank you. Could I ask one more little detail about that?
Yes?
Yes. So as I recalled these other whatever we want to call them, aspects, I recalled that in the moments of death, the aspect would have a thought or an idea or a desire or a wish or a loathing or something to that effect that would seem to then drive the next life that would occur. So I'm just wondering if that's correct. Is that the aspect that's down there, what happens in those moments of death specifically, or the whole life, but especially those last moments of death, like that strong urge or thought or feeling, is a driving force then for what the higher self would put down next? Would that be accurate to say?
Not exactly, no, because there would be the reconnecting, we will say. First, when one is passing through your death experience, they have a remembrance or recall of their entire lifetime and everything that happened in that particular lifetime. And then they move from that and into we'll say a higher state of consciousness at that point. And once the recapitulation is over from that lifetime, then they begin to merge with the higher self there. And the next formulation of the next life then is created here. That is how this begins to work. Okay? Shoshana?
We can share on this. May we share?
Yes, please.
The idea that in the process of dying, that a being has a thought or a compilation of thoughts that would drive its next lifetime is a third-dimensional idea. It is not the truth. It is far more complicated than that. As a multidimensional being that occupies a soul, that occupies the source itself, the process of bringing another life into existence is far more complicated than a thought. Namaste.
Yes, and we would add here that what you are attempting to understand at a third-dimensional level is extremely difficult to even begin to fathom into these higher vibrational dimensions to be able to understand that. You cannot understand the higher vibrational dimensions at your third-dimensional consciousness level. That is why you are needing to raise your consciousness into the higher vibrational frequencies and dimensions to then begin to understand much more beyond this third-dimensional illusion, you see? You cannot understand what is occurring at higher dimensions when you are still operating within your third-dimensional frequency. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I work with a couple energy healers. They do clearings and healings and spiritual work. And they've been telling me that lately there's a lot of activity going on in the fourth dimension, a lot of etheric energies and entities and situations. There's been a lot of clearing for me and some of their other clients of Lightworkers. The Lightworkers are kind of being hit a little bit more than normal because we're moving closer to ascension. We're moving more closer through the fourth dimension of ethereal, so the 5D. Is this true, and how can we better protect ourselves?
That is true for some, but not for many, because as you continue to raise your vibrations, those entities that are of lower vibration cannot attack you, cannot reach you. They can attempt to, and they may have some effect, especially when you find yourselves in a lower vibrations, and possibly in terms of being depressed or having an illness of some type. That is when they can mount their attacks, we will say here. But it is becoming much more difficult for any of that to occur with those of you on these calls, because for the large part, you have learned how to raise your vibrations and keep them higher and higher, and your consciousness ensuing higher as well. So it is more and more difficult for them to have any effect on you at all here, even though they may continue to attempt to try to do this. But their power, their control at that dimensional frequency, which in some respects can be in the fourth dimension, but it is still very difficult for them to penetrate through your Merkaba, through your light body, to be able to affect you in any way here. Okay, Shoshana?
We can share on this. May we share?
Yes, sister.
Dear sister, we have a question for you. May we ask a question?
Of course.
We would ask why you wish to have what is the answer that you seek?
I wanted to know if that's correct information, that I don't feel attacked by anything. I feel very highly conscious, but she's been telling me that there are the entities and we're going to clear them, and there's hooks and there's things, and I guess I really wanted to find out if that's accurate, and what I can do again to continue to raise my frequency. That would probably be 432 music and going out to nature, but I just wanted to know if that's accurately true information for me.
Dear sister, may we share?
Yes.
Dear sister, do you feel that is accurate?
Maybe a little bit lately. I've been, we've talked about this before. I've been feeling a little down and a little feeling the collective energy and a little sad and going through changes. Yes, so maybe so. And I'm sleeping better now, but there was a time when I was having a hard time falling asleep.
We can further share if we may.
Sure.
We will attempt to give our perspective on the range of emotions that humans feel and the range of experiences that occur out of the range of emotions. We find that the beings that are off course, that are not being true to themselves, that are not following the blueprint that they devised before they embodied the body that they are occupying, will have a much larger range of emotions than those that are following their path. When a being follows their path, they will find peace. They will find tranquility. They will find that they are more joyous in the moments that they are living than being unhappy, you see. So what we will say simply for you, dear sister, if we can share this, that you have been off your track. You have not been true to yourself, you see. And when that occurs, you will find a range of what you call negative emotions plummeting your consciousness to the extent that you are feeling depressed, that you are feeling down. This is simply rectified by a being recognizing their path and then following it. Does this make sense to you?
Oh, it makes very much sense to me. I think that's why I'm being directed to sell my house and move out of where I'm living. I feel I'm better served in some other place that brings me more joy. I don't know if it's geographics only. I think that is part of it.
And we would add, dear sister, if we may continue, that those negative beings that would approach you are more easily allowed in when one is in a range of emotions that is not pleasant, you see. So those beings can attack when the being that is attacked is fearful, is depressed, is not mindful of who they really are, and that lets them in, you see. So the job of all beings here are to follow their path. We would use the term religiously, but following their path with great resolve to accomplish the mission that they have set out to do. Namaste.
And we would add here, this is for all here, do not allow someone else to tell you anything about yourself. They are not your guides. They are not there for you specifically. They are there to, what they believe may be their mission, but their mission is not to tell someone else what they can or cannot do or anything about their particular situation at that time, you see. So only rely on yourself. Do not even rely on these channeled expressions as they come through. For it is most important for you to always seek the answers and guidance within yourself. It can help to have guidance such as this coming through this one and through other sources, but do not rely on it as, well, this one is telling me that I have an entity attached to me and therefore I need to do something to have it become unattached. You see? Do not rely on that. Always go deep within yourself and find there the answer, okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. Are there other questions here?
I have a question.
Yes?
Okay. I was talking with a friend the other day and regarding to the 5G network on the towers, and I suspect that there was the equipment installed on the tower behind my home. And he made a comment, didn't make any sense to me and seemed rather silly, that essentially one can protect themselves by wearing a knit hat, and their clothing would protect them from the 5G frequency. And so this is kind of menial, but I don't think that's true. I'd like to feedback on that, please.
That is akin to wearing a cloth mask to hold off the virus. It is very similar here. It makes no sense whatsoever here, you see. So do not rely on that. But since you have brought up the idea of the 5G expression here, which is in the process of being introduced more and more, know that there are factions, there are ones that are working for the light here, and to make this process, which can be a very influential and wonderful experience for those of you, to have this type of added communication, we will say here. It is something that is being worked on by those of the light to make it a safe and prosperous and very beneficial experience for you. But it is not quite there yet. So it is not going to be rolled out, so to speak, until it is in a safe expression here. Okay? Shoshana?
Okay, one more thing. Now, it's come to mind with we're being prompted to be counted through the census. What is the true and accurate purpose of the census? Is it for the light or is it for the opposite?
We would say that at this point is still very much of a 3D expression here, in terms of keeping track of what is happening around the world, the people. If it were to go more toward the dark state, then it would be something very nefarious and would be added to those of your cabal to continue to control the people of the planet. But for the time being, it is not something to be concerned about. You can either participate in it or not. That is up to you. So we would not give any further guidance on that at this point here. Shoshana, do you have anything you add there?
We agree.
Very good. Would there be, we heard other question here, we believe from the one Thomas. Do you have a question?
Yes, you're correct. And I'm just wondering, I feel like a rebel now that every once in a while I do not want to participate in wearing a mask. But one thing I've been wondering is, how would I join the Alliance? Is it possible to do that?
We would say not at this point directly as you are asking this question, but you are already a part of the Alliance. You see, you are the boots on the ground and a part of this greater plan, and a much greater part of this than you think you are at this point. So it is not a formal introduction or entrance into the Alliance. That is not being called for yet at this point, and we say yet. It may come to that more in the not too far off future, where some will be asked to be a part of this more directly in your various areas, you see, but it is not yet at this point here. Okay? Shoshana?
Do not have additional information on this.
Very good. Did this answer your question?
I guess just I'd like to help more than I am.
Simply be. How you can help more than you are is just be. Be the expression, be the example, be the ideal that others can look toward. In the idea of not wearing a mask, then you are making a statement. You are being true to yourself. And being true to yourself is being the ideal and that way shower that is going forward. And others will see this and may inquire, maybe directly to you, maybe not so much, but it might make them be more inquisitive as to, well, why are these people not wearing masks? Why are they not going along and capitulating? And that is the question that they may begin to ask. And when they ask that question, then they begin to look for answers, you see. So that is a catalyst, we will say. You can be a catalyst in this respect. Do not wear masks wherever you have that opportunity. Do not be concerned about being in close proximity to others, for you cannot catch this virus if you believe you cannot. It is that you are that powerful. You have to come to understand that. We have not been telling you believing is seeing just because it's a wonderful statement to make here. It is not. It is in very high respects, a universal law here. And as you are following that universal law and fully believing, then you will see what you are believing and what you are knowing. You see?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Would there be other questions here?
I have a question.
Yes?
Lorelai's question on reincarnation just kind of made me think of this, but why is reincarnation not in the Bible? I've heard that it was and that it was taken out. Can you tell us who took the idea of reincarnation out of the Bible and for what purpose?
That occurred in your Constantine when he and others decided that they would take control here and remove anything that had any indication of anything beyond the individual that you are. You see, they do not want you to think about afterlife and these types of things. So they removed this from your expression within the Bible. But some things were not fully removed, so it was continued on. And also, it was continued on, this expression of reincarnation continued on in the many other cultures. So not only the Christian movement, but many other cultures carried this on, as you know, in Tibet and India and so on here. Okay, Roxana?
We can add to this. May we share?
Yes.
Dear sister, the power of the individual was meant to be diminished so that those that are wishing to have power and control can control the diminished being, you see. So if you have the power and the source within you, and you have a soul and a soul record and multiple opportunities to incarnate, how in heaven's name can anyone control you? You see, there is much power in individuality. There is much power in knowing that you are a force for great power and that you have multiple opportunities to incarnate and change the world and become a part of a movement through multiple incarnations. And if this were taught, oh my goodness, the power would be immense in the individual, you see. So they cannot have this. It has been a great movement to discard this idea among religions, among the Christian religions, and among other religions as well, and to force the idea that you have one life, and that is it. How disempowering is that, you see? So that is why they took it out, to disempower you. Namaste.
Very good. Very wonderful perspective. Would there be any further questions here before we release channel?
Yes, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. My question is about sleeping cycles that we have as a human. We are accustomed to sleep long periods of hours, like 8 plus hours. However, I was reading on the set material, and he suggested that if we break down the sleeping cycles into 2 cycles, smaller cycles, similar to the eating habits, if we change our eating habits as well, that will be more beneficial to the human being, to the human body, and also it will increase our spiritual abilities. I would like to know your point of view on this, your suggestion on sleeping habits.
We do not quite understand your question as it is being given, as you spoke about 2 separate cycles within your sleep pattern. Is that what you were speaking of?
Oh, on the set material, there's this book that this entity, this conscious, suggests that if we sleep, per se, for example, 3 hours in 2 cycles, a total of 6 hours, our human body will benefit, and it will allow us to regenerate even better. Is that clear?
What we can tell you is that as you are moving through this transition at this point, your need for sleep and the sleep process will become less and less as your vibrational frequencies continue to rise. And some of you may be already noticing that where before you needed 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep, now you can do the same on 6 or 7, or some even less than that. But then there are those times when your need for sleep becomes even greater and you find yourself being even more tired and wanting more sleep. So we would say to you, just simply listen to your body, feel your body, and do what it is asking you to do. Where you are moving through this transition at this point, and we'll have these various have been called ascension symptoms as you move through this, and the sleep process is certainly one of these ascension symptoms. Okay, Shoshana?
We can share on this. May we share, dear sister?
Yes, please.
There is a rhythm called circadian rhythm. And this has been discovered by scientists, but it has been set aside so that the machine known as the economy can produce itself so that you can stay awake for 10 hours a day and work, and then go to sleep and then work again. It is a process that is not conducive to health, and many find that they are sleep deprived because they cannot follow this recipe. They cannot stay up for 12 hours and then sleep for 8 and then have 4 hours left over. They cannot do this. It is a regimen that has been produced by what you call the military-industrial complex of this country and many other countries. And we find that there are many countries that do not adhere to this regimen. They sleep in the afternoon. They eat dinner at 10 o'clock. They sleep for 2 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon. You see, you have a pattern, a cultural pattern in this country that you find yourself in, because that is what is produced to produce an economy where an individual can work 8 hours a day. It is that simple. So we are going to tell you that if you decide to sleep 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours after midnight, or whatever, however you wish to split this up, go ahead and do it. You just have to be able to maintain some kind of structure so that you can live within the boundaries that have been set for you by perhaps your job or whatever you are doing, you see. So we encourage experimentation in this area because sleeping for 8 hours straight is very unnecessary and is not really producing a healthy body. That is a myth, you see. Namaste.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.
Very good. We are needing to release channel here now. Are there questions from your email?
Yes, thank you. The first question is, how do we differentiate between the self and the higher self when we are in meditation?
When you are in a meditation, your own meditative state, it is not important whether it is yourself, your conscious knowing self, your higher self, other aspects of yourself, whatever it is. Just simply be in the moment. Do not be concerned about what it is, because as soon as you begin to analyze what is occurring, your meditative state begins to lessen as to the benefits of that meditative state. Simply be in the moment, be in that moment, and just experience whatever it is to experience. We like to call this be in effortless effort. Effortless effort. Just to be in those moments. Okay, Shoshana?
We will add to this. All that one who serves has given is exactly true. And that is the practice that one should attempt. Well, there's no shoulds. Would be most beneficial to that person meditating. However, we will say that the goal of meditation is for the self and the higher self to merge as one consciousness. So to separate them out and decide, well, am I in myself or am I in my higher self, is defeating the purpose. The goal of meditation is to merge those two aspects of yourself into one. Namaste.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. And there further question here?
Yes, the next person is asking about higher dimensions, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th, etc. Are there parallel or alternate realities in these higher dimensions?
Yes, this again is, as we spoke earlier here, in terms of very difficult for the three-dimensional consciousness to grasp questions such as this, or answers that would come to questions such as this. But understand that at those higher vibrational levels, those higher dimensional levels, there are many aspects of those as well. So the experiences at those higher dimensional levels, those aspects of yourself at those higher dimensions, are also experiencing aspects of themselves in other alternate and parallel realities and all of this. So it is not only here at the three-dimensional expression that that is occurring, but again, it is very difficult, or as Shoshana has used several times here, a complicated, much more complicated expression to understand here. That is all we can say on this at this point. Shoshana?
We cannot add to this.
Very good. Then we are through for the time here with the questions, and do you have parting expression here, Shoshana?
I do not.
Very good. Then we will simply just say we do not have expression here either, so Shanti, peace be with you. Be the one.
Shanti.